Hello and welcome to Igniting Hope with MTN, a podcast where we connect, inspire, and empower. Our conversations around what we are doing for 21 days of Yellow Care this year, 2025, continue. And as we mentioned in our last podcast, that one of our partners is NAMBoard, the National Agricultural Marketing Board, who has been doing significant work in connecting the farming community in the country, particularly in the horticulture space. You'll remember that in the last podcast, they explained to us about Ehis, an app that they launched as an e-marketplace where the value chain stakeholders within the agricultural, particularly the horticultural sector, can meet and just be able to acquire or share information that the other person could find helpful as we all drive the horticulture space in the country. And I think one of the things that were also mentioned and highlighted was the fact that NAMBoard is able to share with farmers through this platform the horticultural products that are on demand at that particular time, so that the farmer can then be able to just schedule their farming activities and ensure that the country has enough of those horticulture, or rather those horticultural products. I'm so excited that today we have yet another member of NAMBoard who's going to be speaking to us about now the marketing and sales part of the work that they do. I think in connecting the farming community, of course, as we heard last week, that they do a lot of work in ensuring that farmers have a market. When a farmer harvests, they actually have somewhere to go and sell their products, because in that way, that is how we're ensuring that Eswatini have enough food. And on top of that, that's how we are ensuring that the farmer has a business that is sustainable. So I'm going to allow my guest to introduce herself today.
Good afternoon, Tandra. My name is Cynthia Simelane. I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager for NAMBoard.
Awesome. What do you guys do at Sales and Marketing at NAMBoard?
In sales and marketing, we do a lot, Tandra. Our process starts from logistics, which entails collecting produce from farmers. And then after collecting that produce, when it gets to our pack house, we then weigh the produce. But before weighing it, we then do quality checks, because we want to ensure that we sell quality produce. Mm-hmm. So after the quality checks, and then we do the weighing, because now what we do is we pay our farmers based on the weight that they have delivered to us as NAMBoard to sell. Mm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Then after that, we then, depending on our orders, we either pack the produce in readiness to deliver according to our sales orders, or we keep it as loose, because our orders differ. Some customers prefer that you deliver the produce in loose form and they do their own packaging. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then after that, it kicks in the part on the sales orders, where now we look at logistics now going to deliver to our clients, which in this case, it's the retail space locally in Eswatini, and then we also do exports to South Africa predominantly. So that's our process in a nutshell.
Awesome stuff. I mean, last week we had, or rather in the last podcast, we had your COO, who was just explaining to us a bit about how, or rather the work that you guys do to make sure that you try and expand, or you try and eliminate market barriers that farmers in the country can have. He explained to us that you do a lot of work in terms of local markets, and you also do a lot of work in terms of international market and exporting. I love the fact that you just explained now that you guys are very strict in monitoring the quality as well. So I do want you to just unpack, to us in terms of now just following the whole chain from farmer. We understand that farmers are allocated market extension officers who help them to farm according to the specifications and the standards that you will then assess, as you've rightfully said just now. Can you just talk to us a bit about that?
Okay, to elaborate on that, Tandra, maybe just to begin by saying, in terms of what the farmers end up planting, it is informed by a demand schedule that comes from my team, which is the sales and marketing team. We assess the needs of the market, and then we inform our market extension officers to say, this is what we are looking at the volumes that
That's
we're looking
brilliant.
at selling in this financial period. So that then informs the planting schedule to say farmers should be planting this produce at this time, so that as well we don't get an oversupply coming through, and also just to segregate to say if farmer A is planting potatoes, farmer B should be planting onions, farmer C should be planting cabbages.
How do you guys control that part? Just to make sure that everyone is planting something different from the other person?
We do it through the market extension officers.
Okay.
Because they sit together and they work together as a team, by the way, even though they are working in different regions. But they look at the quantities that we submit as a demand schedule.
Okay.
And then schedule accordingly. And also because our regions in terms of planting, it's the regions, not all regions are suitable for the same produce. In some region can be suitable for potatoes and one for onions. So they work on that because they understand the climatic regions, the climatic conditions for each regions. Yes. From my side, we just submitted the demand schedule to say this is what we want. And then the extension officers, their role is to make sure that they deliver on those quantities. Of course, we may not have total control because sometimes you get a farmer, they plant and you anticipate that in the next 90 days I'll be receiving onions and voila, the farmer has decided to take the onions to some other market.
Oh, that happens?
Yes, they do. They do.
Wow.
Yeah, it's because of pricing.
Oh,
so sometimes farmers are business people. They look at where am I going to get more, kind of. But our market extension officers try to minimize that because we enter into agreements.
Okay.
Yes. So now when we look at the anticipated volumes and quantities, it is based on those agreements with the farmers to say farmer A is going to supply me 20 tons of butternut. Then I know that I'm guaranteed I'll have that kind of. Then I start pre-selling to say, okay, I know the produce will be coming through.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I really appreciate the picture that you've just painted right now because you're also just touching on a very sensitive matter, the matter of pricing. I'd like for you to just touch a bit on how you as NAMBoard set your prices. Like, do you have a set price that you give to farmers to say, we have a price list? We've shared with you to say, these are the produce that we are looking for in this particular period, and this is the price list that we have. Or do you allow for negotiations, with the farmer as they bring in the produce? Can you talk to us a bit about that one?
Okay, thanks, Tanda. To elaborate on our in as far as our pricing is concerned, Tanda, what we do when we sign up the agreements with farmers, on those agreements we set the minimum pricing in terms of the price I would pay for each commodity. But on a weekly basis, we review our pricing because remember, price is influenced by the supply and demand game. So in each week, we review to say we look at each commodity to look at the supply in the market. If it's scarce, the price should go up because of the demand and supply game. So on a weekly basis, we review the pricing and then we share with the farmers. And they do have an influence, by the way, on the weekly prices through the market extension officers.
Okay.
So they do sometimes then voice concerns to say, NAMBoard, we think the pricing is low.
Okay.
And because they look at the informal market to say if I go and sell it in the informal market, I'm probably going to collect more. But because we have the agreement, we have the relationship, can we look at adjusting the prices?
Okay.
Then we do listen to the contribution from the farmers. But what we as well do is we do mini price surveys on a weekly basis, just find out from the retail space how much they would pay for each of the commodities. So that influences our pricing. But to say, just to say we review our pricing on a weekly basis. It's not static.
Wow, I really love that. I just love the fact that you are so structured and so intentional in connecting the farming community, especially to connecting their produce to the market. But I want us to now speak about the logistics part. You did mention that you guys also run a logistics system. Just talk to us about how you guys run that. Is it something that is intended to benefit the farmer? What does it look like exactly? Do you have trucks that go out and collect as the farmer says, I have something ready? Or is it a system where you talk to farmer A to say, hey, farmer B right next to you has produce that we need, and we know you have a van, so could you, bring it to our site here, our warehouse here? How does it work?
And as far as logistics is concerned, we are well set, Tanda, if I may say. What we do, we get the information from our market extension officers to say farmer A or B is ready to harvest and on this date. And what we do is we then schedule. But over and above the market extension officers, we have the AHIS app. Mm-hmm. So we do, because that app is used by the farmers. So from that, we can also pick that farmer A, B, and also the location is ready to harvest what kind of produce. And then what we do, we schedule. We have collection days, by the way, stipulated, but on ad hoc basis, we do collect if the farmer is just harvested a fragile produce that needs to be kept in a cool environment. But in terms of the schedule, we collect on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Okay.
Yes, and then on Sundays are specifically for cabbages because we produce.
Sunday is cabbage day.
It's cabbage day, and our farmers are doing very well in terms of cabbage. We've had quite limited time where we ran out of cabbages. So because of its nature, we collect it bulk, not in crates and what. So Sundays it's cabbage day.
Oh, wow.
So we try and follow that schedule, the Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Mm-hmm. And we have refrigerated trucks just to keep the produce in good condition.
The right quality.
Yes, in good quality, so that by the time it reaches the retailers, it's still in good condition. And remember, the chain is from the farmer to NAMBoard, and from NAMBoard to the retailer, and from retailer to the consumer's house. So, and we don't anticipate that by the time it reaches the consumer's house, they'll consume it in one day. Yeah. So they also should be able to keep it for a few days. Yes, and also to explain that we use the same fleet to deliver to our customers. The same refrigerated trucks to say now we are delivering to your Pick and Pays, to your Spars, to your ShopRites. So we use the same fleet. We are well structured in as far as logistics is concerned. And as well, Tanda, we do encourage farmers to also deliver their own produce in our pack houses. We've got pack houses in almost every region. In Manzini, we have Ngabeni, which is the main pack house. And then Lubomo, we have Lomahasha. And then as well as Lavumisa. And then in Shiselweni, we have Echabulane, there's a pack house. And then North and Hoho, we have Msahweni. We do encourage farmers to deliver their produce. Some farmers, like I said, that they produce fragile produce like your mushrooms. For those, we say once you've harvested your mushrooms, just quickly bring them so that we keep them in the rightful condition. And we incentivize farmers to deliver their own produce because then it says I'm saving in terms of transportation costs, but we pass that saving to the farmer to say we incentivize you because you've delivered your own produce. Yes.
Well, I love the fact that you guys literally connect from farm to table. You just connect the whole value chain. That's absolutely beautiful. But I want to know, when it comes to, you've just mentioned just now that you have farmers deliver, or you have farmers who deliver their own produce. Doesn't that compromise the quality? Because you mentioned that for your logistics, you have refrigerated trucks. So don't you find yourselves having maybe challenges of produce that now arrives at your pack house and it's already been spoiled and stuff like that?
It depends on the produce, the actual produce that the farmer is delivering. For some produce, we don't encourage the farmer to deliver, but for produce that's not really fragile, we don't have a problem. But the nice thing about a farmer delivering the produce is they know the state in which the produce reached NAMBoard. So there is no conflict to say, no, I gave you my produce in good condition, and now you're telling me that you can't take it because it's not of good quality. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow, that's really amazing. So tell us, still on the topic of logistics, you mentioned that you guys actually monitor the quality. Yes. At which point do you monitor? Because from what you were explaining, there's somebody who goes to the farm to collect, and then there's someone who delivers, or rather, it gets delivered to the pack house, and then there's someone who packages it. At what point? Oh, yes, and you mentioned that you then take it to the shop.
Yes.
So at what point do you monitor the quality? Is it just at one point, or every point you do something to monitor the quality? If you could just paint that picture for us.
Okay. To be honest, Tandwa, we monitor the quality at every point, but when we are collecting from the farmer, it's minimal because remember at collection point, you have the driver to pick up the produce. They'll probably look at the produce and advise to say, Mr. Farmer, I don't think this will make the cut. Okay. Even though, farmers, the way they are, they'll say, who are you? You're just a driver. Please take my produce to the professionals.
Are the drivers trained?
We are yet to equip them. We just had that conversation with the CEO to say, let us equip our drivers. They shouldn't just be drivers. Yeah. They should have the elementary understanding of quality so that we avoid transporting produce that will fail when it gets to our packers.
I love that. And especially because it is an expectation that you want them to monitor the quality as they collect.
Yes. And actually prior to the farmer harvesting, our market extension officers also do go pay visits to check, because some farmers, you find that just before they harvest, they spray the produce, and which, of course, we won't accept because it's going to be the chemicals are not good for human consumption.
Harm,
Yes. So post the driver collecting and him having done his inspection, then when it gets to the main pack house now, which is Engabeni, that's where the first stop is quality, and we have trained and qualified quality assurance officers who are going to inspect the produce. Yes, at that point, that's when they can, then they say this one passes and this one is failing the standards. And then after that, when it goes through, if it passes, and then when it's now packing time, especially for your baby vegetables, because they are fragile, when we are packing, we continuously check the quality, because we don't want to say the produce passed the receiving end, they were in good quality, and now when we are packing, they are not in good condition. So we continuously monitor the quality, because remember, when we deliver to our client, which is the retailer, it should be in good quality, because before they receive, they also check and inspect. So if it's not in good quality, they just return the goods.
Okay.
So quality is very important.
100%. And is there a specific standard that everyone that you've just mentioned in the value chain is trained on?
Okay, right now we on Global Gap.
Okay.
Yes, but for now it is NAMBoard. So we want to extend it to farmers because we want to explore the export market. And, the export market is big on quality. So for them, the farmers too should comply. It shouldn't be just NAMBoard. NAMBoard's pack houses complying. They want to go to the farmer to see if the farmer complies.
To the grassroots level.
Yes, to the grassroots level. To see. So ours now next is to train our farmers on Global Gap so that they comply. Because right now we are in consultation with the help of International Trade Center.
Okay.
We have a consultant that's currently in the country to survey the market to say, can Eswatini be part of the countries that we import from? Yes. So standards, we need to comply in as far as that is concerned.
Absolutely beautiful. So you mentioned, I think in passing, that EHIS plays a huge role in this value chain that you've just explained to us, from farm all the way to table. So can you just elaborate on that? What is the role that EHIS plays? I think, as mentioned earlier, it's a very powerful tool, connecting the farming community through this digital platform. So can you just unpack a bit in the value chain that you've just explained? What is the role of EHIS, and how do you use EHIS in conducting that work?
EHIS plays a vital role. I think the presenter from the regulation part of NAMBoard did elaborate on that, to say from EHIS we can tell what we are able to produce as Eswatini, and not without relying from the external markets. So from EHIS we can tell in terms of the quantities of what we have readily available.
Yeah.
From my space, we are able to tell the farmers that are ready to harvest. So then that helps us in terms of scheduling to say farmer A, B, and C are ready to harvest which kind of produce, and then we prepare accordingly in terms of then the logistics part of it. But what we then do over and above that, we confirm with the market extension officer, and then we call the farmer. Still call the farmer to confirm. Because we want to collect the produce in good quality. So we then liaise with the farm to say we are coming to collect on Tuesday. That means please harvest on Monday evening or early Tuesday so that we find the produce in good quality. So yes, EHIS does play a part. And in future, we would love to see our clients placing their orders through EHIS. Because right there we are going to have our volume. Then have our customers placing their orders through EHIS. It's going to make things very simple.
Yeah.
Moving into the digital age.
100%. And I absolutely believe that we will get there sooner than we think.
Definitely.
Because you guys have been doing phenomenal work. Even you've just highlighted that we've been running a training in collaboration with NAMBoard for the farming community, just educating one another about, how to leverage digital platforms as we conduct the farming business. And as you've rightfully highlighted, that part of the conversation has been just to drive the farming community towards these digital platforms, and particularly the EHIS app, because this is an app that you guys have already created. You've already launched it. It is there. It is for them. But I just want to know, from your experience in the marketing and sales space, I think as you and Mr. Dladla, who we spoke to in the last podcast, have been explaining, the app is intended to connect everyone in the value chain. From a sales perspective, how has consumption been from the traders of horticulture products? How has their response been in consuming and using the app?
My comment would be, right now I think it's mostly the farmers that are utilizing it, but once we introduce it to our customers, I think they are going to use it as we drive them towards placing their orders through the system. I think now it's because we've given them the option to say, you can call me to place your order. But we want to get to a point where we say now order through the app. So I think now then we will see the uptake growing quite significantly. Right now they have an option to say, can I SMS you my order? Can I, kind of, yes. Yes.
I love the fact that, you give people options because, preference is also important. However, I do agree with you that this platform is powerful enough to drive your sales as well. And it also just adds convenience.
True.
Because like you can imagine that as a trader, if I go on the app, I already see what is available. I already see, I have a visual of what I'm ordering. Yes. So it becomes even better, because it aids my process. As I'm putting the order, I'm speaking about something that I know, or I'm asking for something that I have seen. So definitely I see that opportunity as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And as we are just getting ready to wind up our session today, what would be your parting words to every farmer in the country and also to every trader of horticultural products?
My parting words would be to farmers: let us be able to feed ourselves as a country. I seen a presentation by APA to say we are importing a lot, which means we are taking money from Eswatini to other countries. I'm not saying we shouldn't import, but there is room for every farmer to do something in terms of ensuring food security for us as a country. And then to traders, they should adopt EHIS, yes, because they're going to find what they are looking for instead of us going all the way to neighboring countries and paying for import permits. Yes, if they can utilize that platform, EHIS platform, Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. It's been a beautiful conversation and very informative. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to everybody who has listened. You've sat through and you've listened as she has been sharing some crucial information around the marketing and sales that NAMBoard is conducting on behalf of farmers, on behalf of traders in the country. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with us, and we will see you in the next one.
Get located.